Okay. All right. We are back for episode 101. What shall we talk about today? Let's see. I think we're bypassing our daily summary and going for something a little bit more timely. Let's see, what do we have? So Meta and Google had a big lawsuit this week in which they were actually failed is not the right word, but lost. They lost the lawsuit, so I thought it's worth talking about that, considering that significantly impacts Meta's stock price. And then what else? XAI news. So there's a bunch of talk around Elon's remaining companies. There's some standalone companies. So we'll talk a little bit XAI, and then I guess continuing the theme we've talked about for the past couple of weeks of all the happenings and going on between Anthropic, it's like that. What do we call that theme? What's that theme? AI wars. AI wars. Yeah. Yeah, there's this person on TikTok I follow. That's all she talks about. What's her name? At GTP. She's like taken off like over the past year. I like literally watched her go from like very like hundreds of subscribers to like she has like 500,000 followers now, and all she does is talk about um, AI. Mainly Chat GTP is how she started, but all over. And she's opened like a creator studio now because she launched a very retro product, which is basically a Bluetooth telephone. Literally, she launched a Bluetooth telephone, and she made like 800,000
What's it called?
in revenue. Huh?
What's the telephone called?
I don't even remember. I'll look it up. But her handle is Chat is cat CAT GPT. But yeah, she came up with like your old school phones that basically it's just a Bluetooth phone and you just pick it up. So now this should
Oh,
make sense to
physical
everybody.
phones.
Yeah, physical phone.
Well, that's similar to the my buddy's company that I told you about, Tin Can Kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they've done a retro phone. It's voice over IP, so it's not Bluetooth. It's
Yeah,
Wi-Fi enabled.
yeah. No, hers is even more simple. It just connects to your phone at home, and so you can use a physical phone while you're at home. And she's
I mean,
probably made over about
it's the
a
same
million
idea.
in revenue. Yeah.
Yeah,
Does your friend make a million in revenue?
I think so. They've raised, I think, 30 million right now.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they just got featured in Fast Company
All right. So what am I doing?
last week.
I should do things like that.
You should. We'll talk about what you are doing later, Tony. No, but this is cool. This like the retro phone thing. I've always said it's not my cup of tea. Like I probably wouldn't get it. These phones are over $100. Even her phones
Are they really?
are
Oh, I didn't realize they were that much.
$90 and
Wow.
$110.
That's crazy. They
So
probably
it's
cost
not
like
something I would get.
$10 to make.
The whole positioning around Tin Can Kids though is like for screen averse
Mm-hmm.
parents, which is a real thing. Like we are screen averse in some sense, whereas we only allow an hour a day for our daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and we definitely don't let her do like social media or anything. She's about to turn 11, so connecting with her friends and having a conversation. Yeah, I get it. Like these landline phones is
Mm-hmm.
is why they're getting viral. But that's it. That's actually a good transition to our first story related to social media and Meta and Google. They were found liable this week for a lawsuit that was being put against them for social media addiction harm. And so they got sued, class action lawsuit, I think, from someone who was saying that Meta and Google had caused her to be addicted to social media, which then in return caused her harm because of all the things that we've heard about. So she claimed that Instagram and YouTube addicted her as a minor, and the product design, which is infinite scroll,
Mm-hmm.
algorithms that surface things, autoplay. We all know about the engagement hooks and engagement loops to get you back into the product was negligent and harmful. And as part of this lawsuit, the verdict was that Meta owes 4.2 million and Google owns 1.8 million. Now, these are just like, this is pocket change for these companies. But the reason why it's being reacted to in such a way, meaning the stock dropped, Meta stock dropped 8% on Thursday, another 4% on Friday. Google dropped 2 to 3%, and then Snap dropped 12%. But the reason is because people are looking at this as like the tobacco moment for these
Mm-hmm.
companies.
Yeah.
Like tobacco was in the 60s, right? Everyone was smoking. And then eventually people had sued and said that nicotine is addictive and it cause them harm to their health. And that set the industry to kind of be, what it is today, which isn't as big of an industry. There are still a lot of
Mm-hmm.
smokers,
Mm-hmm.
but it's looked, stigmatism wise, it's looked, down upon, right? So, yeah, I think we've all heard stories about this over the years of how Facebook in particular or Meta like doesn't necessarily consider your well-being
Yeah.
when they're trying to make more money.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's an interesting legal precedent. I think it's probably going to be appealed, right?
Yeah, they said they will it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the worst case, right, is that it's like if it really takes effect as a class action, it's like that monetary damage will just increase into the billions, right? Because literally, Facebook and Google, you know, highlight their billions of users. So at least in the U.S., if you just thought about everybody in the U.S., it could be a significant number. We'll see how it goes.
But
They've
the
got a lot
argument
more money.
argument that Zuck made and was that they have been taking steps to actually
Yeah,
fix this, right?
yeah,
So they are conscious about it. It's just so big that it's hard to.
yeah, yeah. And it's really a you know it's kind of like a hard argument, right? Of like, okay, it's creating addiction, but it's not like a mental addiction. I haven't read through the court case, but anyways, I'll just leave it at that. It's just, I wonder how the judge or the jury found that, that you could solely hold Facebook and Google liable, considering there's so much more going on in the web, right? So it's like, does TikTok contribute to it? Does any social interaction on the internet be liable for it? You know what I mean? Because that's our movies. Will movies eventually be liable? Because technically they are a form of addiction, right? Adrenaline, your whatever pleasure centers as you're watching the movie, right? And so I think there's a lot of downstream impacts potentially, right? If this does go through, like, oh, the movie industry should be worried too, right? Anyways, it's an interesting case, but we'll see. I'm a little surprised that whoever the jury awarded them, or they found some actual basis, like, okay, Facebook, Google, you're in the wrong. I mean, we know they are, but anyways.
Yeah, and you mentioned TikTok, but the only reason why TikTok's not really in the news because they're still private. They couldn't have any impact to their stock price, but
Yeah, yeah.
totally, TikTok is, in my opinion, the
Worse.
worst
I
of
would
them
say it's
all.
worse. Yeah. Personal experience here. It's the worst.
Yep.
Yeah. But all right, we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah.
okay.
What's our next story, Tony, about X.ai and the AI
Yeah,
war?
speaking of social media, I guess pseudo social media. Apparently, the last remaining co-founder of XAI, and just as a reminder, there were originally 11 co-founders of XAI, including Elon. What was this? This was a few weeks ago. I talked about one of them had left, but apparently the final co-founder has officially left XAI. Elon is last man standing yet again at a company. He did he actually found this company, or did he kind of buy himself in like he did with every other company? I don't remember. But anyways, so yeah, so all the co-founders are out at XAI. And this is as SpaceX is preparing for its IPO. So these co-founders should have been expecting a big payday, but apparently now they've all left as the company is going public, which is interesting. There we go.
Yeah, I think he previously worked at DeepMind and OpenAI, and then co-founded XAI. He was one of the technical leaders behind the Grok models, and to your point, like none of the original team remains. And I think I don't know, there's probably a few things to read from it. I think one, I'm curious like if he actually go joins another company
Mm-hmm.
or if he starts his own company. Two, he's between DeepMind, OpenAI, and now XAI. He's loaded,
Yeah.
so that's something else as well. But
Yeah.
it does signal like something going on, especially since they did the merger with SpaceX
Mm-hmm.
in terms of strategic direction that these co-founders are not aligned with, and so it's interesting to see what that is.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I forget if we mentioned it, but right. So part of Musk all of a sudden after he had merged XAI with SpaceX, or after SpaceX acquired XAI, he then all of a sudden said he thinks XAI needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, like it's not doing well. Is what the implication was, right? So I'm assuming that this is just was only partially of why this exodus has been happening, and while this is almost like the final straw. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, what do you mean this needs to be rebuilt? We were doing fine until you bought us, or until you acquired us, right? So we'll see.
Well, one of the points here is early XAI was scrappy research lab, hackers,
Mm,
right? Probably, and just doing going fast. And now
yeah,
current XAI is product plus platform needs to tie better to the X ecosystem. And
yeah.
actually, my story here is a few weeks ago. I don't actually use Grok.
I don't either.
I would if it was in my Tesla, but I have the pre new model Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
and so I can't have Grok because it doesn't have the
Mm-hmm.
hardware.
Uh-huh.
But I was curious. So a couple weeks ago, I went in and I just first time I ever used Grok.
Mm-hmm.
I asked Grok, "Can I use what should I use you for over the other models
Uh-huh.
over OpenAI and
Yeah.
Anthropic?"
Yeah.
And its answer gave me an eye roll. Basically, it said one, like it's better for like real time news, which I agree. That's a good value prop. I listed like three or four things, but the last one was if you uh it's like heavily, man, I should pull it up. Basically it said if you want to hear about Elon Musk and all the things he's doing and thinking about,
Yeah.
that's the Grok is good for that too. And I was like, oh my god. So basically, X is a we already know this because we've said this is like an Elon Musk like venting platform, just like Truth Social is a Donald Trump venting
Right.
platform.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I think Grok is just kind of trash, to be honest. It's like, what is it? What does it remind me of? It's like he's still around, but Geraldo, like his talk show, that kind of reminds me of like what Grok is. He's like that type of like trashy kind of like talk show type thing. But anyways, it's like it wants to be legit, but it's still its background is kind of like kind of like that on that trash side of it. So, anyways,
Well, these AI wars are continuing to be a war. I mean,
yeah,
still, OpenAI, Anthropic are the number one and two. Anthropic has climbed up pretty heavily. Like you were saying that they recently reduced their rate caps because
yeah, yeah. This was like, I mean, I don't know how, maybe it's an echo chamber I've kind of like thrown myself into at the moment. But yeah, apparently Anthropic over what was it, yesterday? No, the day before, it's like they announced that they are reducing kind of like the daily cap limits because apparently there's too much load, too much users. So as you can imagine, people were complaining. I've seen a bit on X, a bit on LinkedIn, especially the people who are subscribed to, I guess, the $200 max plan, right? They're like, we shouldn't have to have these issues. But yeah, so everybody across the board, they're free, pro, max, all their basically monthly subs have reduced daily limits at the moment, which explains a bit because I was doing some like a couple of things, and I was like already at like 30% of my daily. I'm like, what? Barely. I've like had literally 3 prompts, and I already hit like 30%. I was like, that's crazy. And then on the flip side, OpenAI was like, in celebration of our new, I think was their plugins launch or something, so everybody can try it out. We have reset all your limits to unlimited. Have fun. Literally on the same day. I was thought,
Yeah. I mean, that type of like strategy is I mean, it'll work, I think, but I think it's not a long it'll work. It's a short-term
yeah, definitely.
like dopamine boost for
Yeah,
OpenAI
yeah.
versus Anthropic because yeah, maybe they'll capture more people, but I think they'll capture like the maybe more of the bad actor crowd.
Hmm.
Whereas I think Anthropic, in my opinion, is capturing more of that high quality crowd. So I don't know. Both companies are probably going to IPO this year, so you'll be
Yeah, I
able
mean,
to jump in.
yeah. And so it's we'll see. I mean, I still use Claude, still use Codex.
Yeah,
Figure,
let's jump into our AI musings. Here, this is where we play. This is where we play the cut segment music.
huh? Really?
All right, let's talk about our AI musings. What's your latest, Tony?
So
How's
what's
AI?
my latest? So I'm still debugging. I guess not debugging, but I'm trying to refine the app a little bit better. I've discovered that I could actually load my app onto my iPhone through Xcode, which is nice. So as you can see, I actually have a working app. You
Nice.
can hear the TikTok. It's a little metronome
Yeah,
TikTok.
it's cool.
So it's a functioning. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm in the actual like kind of like going through and making sure like the experience feels right. I'm probably wasting my time, as most people said. It's like you should just launch it and then refine afterwards. But I guess I'm just being a little bit picky. But yeah, just trying to see if I can optimize it a little bit more, which I guess is the biggest challenge being a quote vibe coder, is I don't know how to optimize it. So I'm relying on right Claude and Codex to do these refinements for me, which is a little bit challenging. It's different than going to like the UX or a developer and saying, "Yeah, this is feeling weird. Can you go fix it?"
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
I thought you were going down the path of I don't know what needs to be refined, and I was going to say like, well, if you can't see anything that needs to be refined, then maybe how's the average user going to say like, oh, this needs to be refined?
Yeah. No, no, no. I mean, like, I know, like, visually, like, from a UX perspective, like, yeah, I have an idea of like what I think needs to be refined, right? It's more of like the technical side of it, where you can just in the real world, I could just go to the engineer or developer, and they could figure it out, right? And it's just easier to have that conversation versus with Claude and Codex. It's like it's hard to describe something because like I don't know if they could like this. Like I could go up and show like this is what I mean, right? Like the pendulum is not swinging smoothly, but to describe that in words to like the I have found like to be the challenging thing because I just don't know how much of it actually understands what I'm trying to tell it.
Have you tried just uploading a video recording?
I've done images. I haven't actually tried a video yet. That's a good
I mean,
point.
yeah, because like what you told me now, I was like, it's going like this. It's like
Yeah.
just upload the video recording.
Yeah, I'll try that. Yeah. But anyways, so it's good. I've already got other ideas of some other apps of another app I want to do. So maybe I'll start working on that. It's a bedtime story reader.
Did did you did you get your developer account set up yet?
No, not yet. I figured I'm gonna have to do it the long way around because the more I thought about it, it's like I should probably set up like an LLC for it, just because of legal. Speaking of our Facebook story of legal issues, is just to have a layer in between my
Yeah,
personal
liability.
stuff and yeah, live from a liability perspective. So yeah, I was researching with ChatGPT. We were having a conversation about the legal side of this, and it's like, yeah, you should probably set up an LLC just in case because it's low effort and the benefits outweigh, whatever small cost. So there we go.
My my everything, I mean, all my businesses go through my umbrella LLC.
So do you do the like so you have the umbrella LLC, and does that have smaller LLCs feed into
I
it?
have registered trademarks for doing business as company names.
Okay. But so are they so they're not technically LLCs, they're just doing business as?
I mean, they're part of my umbrella LLC.
Got it. Okay.
If like say my reef business, my coral business was to
Yeah.
get pretty big,
Yeah.
then I would consider spinning it off into its own
Got
LLC.
it. I got it.
But for now, just because it's not, it's just more hobbyish
So
versus
they
like
do they all get treated independently from like a an entity perspective?
no, they're all recognized as the same entity. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
like a doing business as name, and so when it comes down to like taxes, it just comes through all the same LLC.
I see. Got it.
Yeah, all that company legal information is
Got it.
tied to my Breezebit
Yeah.
lab.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a interesting it's a new thing I didn't really consider, but after thinking about it or chatting about it a little bit more, it's like, okay. So for anybody who's thinking about doing it, um, it probably makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you could also do that for like your stock trading. You could create an LLC that's kind of like a fund,
Yeah.
which then has like tax advantages.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do that
Um,
myself. This is not legal or
financial.
tax advice. It's for entertaining purposes only. I'm just saying that that is a way that you can do that for like your funds,
Yeah. My fund
which
would
then
be perpetually losing money.
is tax deductible.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, so speaking, yeah, so for LLM, so now I'm just looking at how to create it, like which of these like companies. Ironically, Zen Business comes up a lot, and we have a lot of people we know who work at
Yeah,
Zen Business or who have migrated from HomeAway or like our past company and are at Zen Business. I'm like, should I use Zen Business or should I use some other companies that I've discovered? What do you
I
use
just
any of
filed
these like?
directly.
Oh, did you? Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
but I mean, it might be easier in Washington versus Texas, but yeah, I just filed directly to the Department of Revenue.
Really? Oh, okay.
What about your OpenClaw musings? Anything on there?
It's been kind of dead.
Are you using that expensive Mac Mini to its full advantage?
I
I guess you're
probably
doing it for your
not.
coding project, right?
Yeah, I use it. I use it as my quote like what my work thing, so I don't feel as bad. But yeah, no, it's just my open college has been kind of sitting there at the moment, mainly because I don't. I'm trying to. I'm like it's because I'm using Codex to help debug and like from the coding side of it for my app, and so I'm trying to minimize my OpenClaw usage because it's currently, I don't know what it is has been about the latest updates, but they're like chewing through my usage. And so I've been trying to figure out and optimize that. But yeah, I haven't yeah, these past 2 weeks I've kind of like slowed down on the things I'm using it for.
It's like you're following the same journey as me. Like all good the first 2 weeks, and the next 2 weeks was kind of
Yeah,
teetered
yeah.
off.
And I still see these people, these creators, these influencers still trying to say, yeah, I'm making like, 1,000 MMR or, 10,000 in my first week by running all these flows. I'm like, if I'm running like 50% usage, like just doing like these stupid things, there's no way you guys are running a full service agency on OpenClaw and not like you're not burning through thousands and thousands of dollars. There's no way. So if you see it, don't believe the hype. Again, they're probably selling a course. I feel like that's how people are making money right now. They're selling courses on how to, you know, make 10,000 a month versus actually making 10,000 a
Or they're secretly vibe coding with Cloud Code and
month.
then representing it as OpenClaw just to generate
that's
clicks.
that's true. That's true. Uh, anyways, yeah, so, yeah, it's kind of sitting at a standstill, which is a shame because I still want to do stuff, but one thing at a time. I think that's the other thing is with these AI tools. I guess it's just the speed of them. You're actually trying to do too much, right? Versus trying to focus and still get the singular things right and then move on versus trying to do 10,000 things at the same time. And I've actually seen people complain. It's like, one of the big problems is that I have like 10 agents running and I just want to do more and such. And I'm like, it's because you're not changing your mindset, right? You're still thinking like an IC versus you're really should think more like of a manager of your agents.
Agents. No, it's a good point. Let me tell you about what I've been up to then. It's a good point because like I find myself too having multiple agents, and all the agents aren't necessarily working on the same thing
Mm-hmm.
contextually.
Mm-hmm.
Switching that context can be tricky, and quite honestly, I don't like it. It's like, okay, this agent is doing this thing,
Mm-hmm.
has a question or needs me to
Yeah.
approve something. Okay, go over there. Let me switch back to this other agent. What were you doing again? Oh, okay, yeah, you're doing that. So that's tricky, but that's also probably, like you said, a skill set that is a new skill set
Mm-hmm.
that is going to be important going forward as this new role is kind of grown,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so what I've been doing with similar to you, I'm still kind of like not really using OpenClaw as much. I still will use my bot Cami for assistant tasks like
Mm-hmm.
scheduling things that maybe I got an email about something that needs to be on my calendar. Recently, I had it. Recently, the use case I had was so I'm a Seattle Sounders season ticket holder, and they announced that two of the games had changed day and time. So I forwarded Cami the email, said, "Can you
Uh-huh.
update my calendar
Uh-huh.
for these changes?" And I share my seats with another person.
Mm-hmm.
Can you update our spreadsheet to move those games around and where they need to
Okay.
be?
Yeah.
And so that's like that saved me what, like 2 minutes. But it's also something that I didn't need to use my mental
Yeah.
model on,
Yeah.
and just had this bot do it for me. I still have it gives me market recaps every day at 6 p.m. after the market closes as what happens. That's very useful. And I still use it for like just stock monitoring and other assistant tasks. Other than that, like I haven't really been like adding new skills or anything
Yeah.
to my OpenClaw bot.
Yeah.
Now on the Claude side, though, we talked about last week, I started my first week at an AI company, Read.ai, and since they're AI first, they have Claude right out the gate. It's been really productive in using Claude Code to just give me like my productivity hacks or give me like even technical things that I need to get my job going. So one of the first things I did was, like at companies, we're always looking at data dashboards. It's like Tableau or Amplitude or Mixpanel or whatever it is that the company is using. Oftentimes, while those are pretty effective, as a product manager or even as a marketer or whatnot, it's our job to look at the data and synthesize and figure out like what to do about what's going on. Claude is an amazing partner
Yeah.
to
No. I yeah.
actually do data analysis,
Mm-hmm.
and I've taken it a step ahead as well, and I had it create me my own personal like heartbeat monitor
Mm-hmm.
built in Next.js, so it's like a working web app. And so like it uses the company's data, gives me
Yeah.
my own view of my heartbeat monitor, and I even had it built an exec page so that I can copy and paste these metrics into like an email or a slide deck if I need to like do some type of presentation on it. And like thinking about my job 10 years ago, like
Yeah, and right? To create a
that would have,
dashboard, you need
yeah.
like an analyst and then like a developer to put it together and figure out like, okay, what data sources and how do we create the actual metric and then visualize it. Yeah, it's such a pain in the
Yeah, I mean that would have taken me at least a couple of days, maybe even could be over a week if you think about the conversations needed with
yeah.
like you said, people to get the right data, nowhere. But it did this in like less than 3 hours. So using it at an enterprise scale now
Hmm.
is pretty wild and phenomenal.
And I think that's one of the big things, right? It's like it's reduced the number of steps from an idea to implementation. Now, what I don't know is like the accuracy of that information still. I still have this lingering, well, it's just because of where we are with LLMs for me, it's more like the accuracy of it is the thing of like I don't fully trust it, and where like I personally don't have the skill set to actually evaluate whether it's giving me accurate information, especially like around statistics or metrics and stuff. I'd still have to find somebody to like, let's go validate this to make sure it's actually accurate.
Yeah,
But
and
anyways,
and that is the skill set in itself as well too. Like, well, not skill set, but I think like this is why the early, the recent grads, right, aren't getting jobs these days,
yeah,
is because like AI, and why I think our jobs aren't necessarily at risk
mm-hmm.
is because it still takes, depending on what domain you're in, right, it still takes a level of skill set to have the judgment as to what you're riffing on with Claude is
Mm-hmm.
accurate or not. So in my
Yeah,
case, like product data, all that stuff, yeah, I can see right away that doesn't seem right. Can you make sure? Can you validate? And in your world, like if you were in your marketing world, right, or even product requirements or whatever, like you'd be able to sniff check right away as to what Claude was spitting out was accurate or not, and then
yeah,
challenge it. And
right,
that's where like you only get that with levels of experience, which is where
yeah,
we're at,
yeah.
which is why I'm less worried about job reduction at my age.
My yeah, it's like finally my age actually has somewhat an advantage because ageism is a thing, y'all. I mean, at least it was before, right? Where everybody wanted, kind of like that younger vibe, new ideas.
College grads were getting those wild packages to
Yeah,
join
right. Yeah, yeah.
join Meta.
Now it's kind of ironic. It's kind of flipped a little bit where the experience does matter a little bit. But anyways,
Well, and the other thing
that's
that's
a
been coming
whole
out,
other
yeah,
thing.
the other thing that's been coming out lately that I'm sure you've been following is the whole flattening of orgs.
Yeah,
Like people, like companies are going to be like getting rid of a lot of the management layers.
yeah.
Director, director is probably the one that is going to be impacted the most because, and so Meta I think is one of the pioneers in this, and I
Oh yeah,
think their applied AI group has like a 50-to-1 manager to IC ratio.
yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
and
IC
yeah,
to manager.
and yeah. It goes back to I guess what we were just talking about, right? Is that with AI, it's like you are an IC should no longer think of themselves as purely an IC, right? There's some management that needs to happen. Well, yes, it's with AI agents, not actual people, which actually simplifies it because you don't have to worry about, what is their life story, what does their growth trajectory look like, what goals do they want to accomplish and stuff. It's purely like agents are just work. They're there for work, and all you have to manage is the work, which simplifies kind of like that level. And then this flattening is because that's what directors do. It's like they like the strategy of how to tie everything together, but like if you don't need to worry about the growth of your team per se, right? Are they really that necessary? Right? You're looking for executioners that have some notion of the strategy, and that's all you really need.
Yeah, which is why like in my roles I was looking for a principal. I joined Reed as a principal PM, not as a manager. So I was talking with one of my previous coworkers, and she's also a product manager. She was validating the stuff. Like, yeah, a lot of companies are hiring more of these like super PMs, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
are like very experienced,
yeah, yeah.
can do a lot. And so I think I made the right choice, and I'm in a good spot for like
Mhm.
setting up for the future.
Yeah.
And then like along with flattening the orgs, the bands are increasing. I think I just got an email from Levels, FYI, that like big the FANG companies, Mag 7 are starting to reduce levels basically and widen bands. So
Mm,
that means like, you're as a senior PM, for example,
yeah.
your upward mobility in pay is longer so that you don't feel like you need to be promoted. So, yeah, I know we got into like whole like job stuff, but I mean, it's very relevant to kind of how AI has forced the hand in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy
Um,
time. So you post it. Well, all right. Well, we'll come back next week to talk more about what's going on in the AI world and bring you the top headlines from tech. Give us a like, give us a follow, and make sure you subscribe. See you next week.
See ya.